Hello and welcome to another episode of Nerd Age. This is where we discuss everything nerdy. My name is Mick. With me as always are my co-hosts, Josh.
What's up?
Jonah.
Hello, everybody.
Corey.
Hey.
And we have a special guest today.
What's up? I'm Josh.
Hello, Josh, number 2.
I just introduced you. Hi, I'm Josh. Hey, Josh, nice to meet you.
Josh is a friend of mainly you guys. I've met you a few times.
Yeah,
but,
he's your worst enemy.
Yeah,
Hate his guts.
that's why there's one person in between us.
Josh Lusso, a.k.a. Monster Guy.
Yep. I am a nerd also. My credentials are I've beaten Elden Ring, gotten over 1,000 hours on CSGO, and I'm 2,100 total in old school RuneScape. So you're welcome. You're welcome, world.
Old school RuneScape.
It's coming back,
Credentials.
You qualify.
Yeah. I made it.
Cool. Well, yeah, we're just going to jump into some Thor Love and Thunder non-spoiler and then spoiler talk. Jonah has not seen it. Have you seen it?
No, but you can just
Okay,
rip
so
the Band-Aid off.
we're going to just go right into it.
Yeah. Go for it.
We all saw it, or 3 of us saw it last night. So, yeah,
Guys, I have
let's jump into
opinions without even seeing it.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
it. We would love to hear it.
I knew you had opinions. The first trailer came out.
Let's start with you, Corey. What'd you think?
Like non-spoiler?
Yeah, we could do like a little non-spoiler.
Okay. So the movie was an interesting one. I think you're kind of expecting this kind of Thor Ragnarok kind of feel. And it kind of was like it, kind of. And so I was expecting that. I was also expecting like a million jokes per minute, basically, is what I came in expecting.
1,000,001 is what you got.
It's almost like I wanted that. Like I almost would have wanted that instead of what I got, which was still a lot, but I don't know. There was a lot of like jokes that were kind of awkward, and it's like they play into that awkward silence. And for me, it gets me a little cringy on some of those jokes. But the story in and of itself, kind of like 2 different stories like going on at the same time. I think the tone is very different. Like you got a very serious Gore the God Butcher, and then you got all these happy-go-lucky other stuff going on. And so it's like you got 2 different situations. It's like 2 different movies almost in one. And they didn't, for me, it didn't really meld together as well. But, we watched it.
We did sit down and we saw it in the theater.
I didn't walk out of it. So that's a positive. And I thought that Jane was good. And I think that Gore the God Butcher was good. Those are my highlights of the movie.
Have you ever walked out of a movie, though?
Yeah. Yeah, there's like explicit nudity and stuff like that. And I was like, nope, no thank you. So there wasn't that.
The Minions
just
movie's
little butt
crazy,
cheeks.
bro.
just a couple of butt cheeks. But yeah, what'd you think, Josh?
Yeah. I kind of the same way. I was like, Taika Waititi. I've seen Thor Ragnarok. The Guardians of the Galaxy are in it, at least going into it. And it was like, I was already expecting it to be super jokey, and it was, but it wasn't jokey in a way that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, it was, for me, it felt off. Like there were moments where I was like, what are we doing here? Like, what is the punchline? And let's get to it fast because I better laugh, because if I don't, then what are we doing here?
Yeah. What was that for?
Right.
Like, was it worth it? No.
So yeah, I found myself kind of like questioning, like, what's going on here? I had the same exact thought you had. 2 separate movies. Christian Bale is awesome as the villain.
Yeah.
Probably, I think, in my opinion, one of the better Marvel villains. At least for me.
Yeah.
And it felt kind of like a wasted.
Yeah.
We kind of wasted him.
He was in the wrong movie, dude. I wish they would have used him for someone else. Yeah,
but
that's a bummer.
Yeah, I'm trying to say whether I enjoyed it or not.
Right. I mean, we
I
watched
didn't hate it.
That's what I said. We watched
and there were some things that I laughed at, even like the jokes,
Yeah.
but I was honestly like disappointed. My expectations were super low, but I was still kind of disappointed.
And it didn't even meet those expectations?
No.
No,
Wow.
to be honest, no.
What about you, Mick?
Yeah, I watched it as well.
Yeah. You didn't fall asleep
I think I had nodded off
for like a couple seconds?
for a few seconds towards the end
Well,
there.
watch out.
But
I'm gonna put you to sleep.
yeah, the tone, the consistency with the tone was just all over the place. It felt very humor, and then kind of depressing and dark, and then bad humor, and then even worse humor. And yeah, I was pretty pretty bored with the movie, honestly. But I do agree. Christian Bale, he was probably the best part, along with Natalie Portman. But I feel like both of them were underused.
Was there any other aspect of the movie that you enjoyed? Was the movie good or the music good?
I was so sick of the music. It was constant Guns N' Roses, which I don't like them.
Which they're saying is like a rock opera or whatever. Is like a lot of people described it as.
No. But some of the visuals were cool, especially towards the end, and everything with Gore. Christian Bale's character, his design is cool. His weapon is cool. The stuff that he summons is pretty sweet. Just cool visually. So I just wanted more of him because he wasn't in the movie that much, honestly. For the main antagonist, yeah.
Yep.
But yeah.
So you just want to rate them, and then we can go into spoilers real quick.
Yeah, we can do that.
And then you guys can ask questions if you guys have any. Add into the Berasian.
Can I give my rating for it?
Yeah, sure. At the end, yeah.
Okay.
He just wants to get involved so bad.
Just wait your turn.
-2.
I think out of the theater, I gave it. I want to say it was in like the 4s. It would probably be like a high 3 at this point.
Woo! It got lower.
Just sitting on it, and just thinking about it.
He was not happy.
It was a bad.
Is it better than Morbius?
Oh wow!
Is it that really that low? I think it's worse than Morbius, and I haven't even seen this one.
You gave Morbius like an 8 though, so
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was bad. I didn't like
Morbius
it.
had a story though.
I thought your rating would be higher. I thought usually Marvel, you're like, man, it's Marvel. I'm a little soft.
The recent, so I like Doctor Strange. I thought that was a pretty good movie, because it felt way more consistent. This just felt like someone that was trying to be Taika Waititi, because his humor the humor in this movie didn't feel quite like what I've seen from him before, and it was just bad.
You're saying there was a wannabe amongst them.
yeah,
I think so.
an imposter.
An imposter among us.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Josh?
This is hard. I feel like even walking out of the theater, I was like, oh, I don't know what to give this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a solid 5.
Okay.
It was like there were things
Not
that
good or bad. Just
there were things
completely
that I
neutral.
really liked, and there were
Yeah.
things that I was like, what is this?
What did you give Morbius?
I gave Morbius like a 7 something. I didn't really hate Morbius at all.
Morbius is
and I
better.
don't hate this movie. I just feel like whatever. That's why I'm giving it a 5. It's right middle of the road. I don't think it's good. There's things I like, there's things I really don't like, and it's just kind of like 5er.
Yeah. I gave it, I think I said 4.8 last night, and I'll stick to that. 4.8. Slightly negative just because.
Yowzers.
Think about the good things and then think about the bad things. The
They're
bad
not
things
bad.
way outweighed the good things.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I'm not going to get into it yet, but yeah, 4.8 solid. Kind of not a big fan. It was all right, but yeah, I was even struggling to even spend the money to get the ticket. You guys know we
Hey, we gave you an out. We were like,
And Bree
Jonah's
was
not
like-
watching
Bree
it.
was like, go do it. At least you can talk about it on the podcast.
friends.
So I did this for the podcast. Okay, let it be known.
Yeah.
He's committed.
I got a celebrity reviewer
Ooh.
sent me a review
Oh,
of Thor.
okay.
And
Who's that?
this is what they sent.
Trash.
Porky from Toy Story 4.
Okay.
Trash.
That it was trash.
All right. So Porky went out.
What a great bit. This guy.
It's gonna be recurring, guys.
I can't wait.
It's the first of many.
All right, John, let's hear your score.
The people
I
want to
give
know.
it a solid 4.3.
That's way too high.
You know,
I know you could have.
You would have went.
You would
lower.
have hated it.
You would have.
You
went
You
would've
would
lower.
have absolutely hated it.
He might have.
They even anyway.
So let's go ahead and get in the spoiler
Yeah.
section
Right
of
now,
it.
spoiler talk
Spoiler
for
alert.
Yeah.
Love and Thunder.
So the trailer they said, oh yeah, you're gonna have Guardians of the Galaxy. They were in there because that's who he was with last. So
Right.
they had to address that.
Yeah.
And so they have this opening scene of them on like a planet, and like Thor's
a moron. Like he's just dumb.
They made Thor kind of in a trance, right? You almost have this like hippie vibes on this first scene, And then he's like, all right. And they're like, we're losing. We need help. And all the Guardians are apparently pathetic and they suck. And they're losing against this like other army.
They're like bird aliens.
Yeah.
Chicken aliens.
And Star-Lord himself cannot win this battle. And all these guys with advanced technology, they can't do anything. No, they need Thor. So they call in Thor. And Thor has to... he's wearing like this robe thing, like almost like I don't know,
like a monk robe.
Yeah. Or and so he's like, all right, I'll take care of this. And he just obliterates and just does everything and just kills everyone, or not kills everyone, but just beat them. And he like, you know, it was an all right scene. It's something kind of expected from the movie, right? How'd you guys feel about that? Just first part of the movie.
The first part definitely felt more like a Guardians movie just because it had them in it, which was like about probably 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, not a lot.
Yeah, it was like a 10-minute.
Yeah, it really wasn't that long. I guess for an opening, it was fine because they did like a little montage of like, he's Fat Thor, now he's getting into shape.
He did all that stuff from the trailer.
Pirate guy, and now he's...
Yeah, most of that trailer was in that little like...
Opening scene.
Opening scene, yeah.
But as far as the Guardians part, it did feel kind of like why are the Guardians? Why are they called Guardians of the Galaxy if they can't do anything without Thor?
Yeah,
it just felt kind of pathetic.
I think it was like almost pointless to even have him in it. Like I could have just been fine with him saying, "Oh, they dropped me off on this planet," and don't have the Guardians of the Galaxy in the movie at all.
Yeah,
because they were literally like pointless. Like they were just kind of served for like, oh, here's a punchline and we're moving on.
That's a recurring theme. It's for the punchline. You'll hear that over and over again.
Yeah,
with our review.
And the punchline's not very good in the end.
And at the end of that scene or that sequence, I guess they give him his 2 screaming goats, space goats.
That's what I was excited to watch.
I'm sure.
The
Zack Snyder and Hans Zimmer in the movie. That's what I heard. 2 goats.
Nice. So,
remember what I said about the punchlines not landing very well?
Maybe will like this movie if you're making jokes.
Just call me Taika.
But I didn't know I'd look back and hate that scene because basically these goats didn't go away, man. No, they were there in basically every sequence where Thor was at. And it just was like this terrible, brutal, scream.
Just a goat
At least they weren't annoying, right?
Oh man, it was brutal. But
like
that was
he's
the point,
literally
right?
the goats follow him everywhere.
They're his steeds, so they
gave him
pull
as like a
magic
reward.
boat. Basically, they're like giant goats.
They're just space goats.
They do the goat scream that yeah.
That, the whole
and you
time.
hear that for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it's never funny.
Yeah.
Never funny.
How was the so I watched a couple of reviews, guys, you know. One of the reviews I watched, they said they hated the jokes with Mjolnir and the
Mjolnir
and the axe that
about
is
it being jealous.
Is like being jealous.
So that's another thing in the movie. Apparently, Mjolnir and Stormbreaker are now like sentient and have emotions, and it just felt very out of place. Like they were being... Stormbreaker was jealous of...
I can see... okay.
Stormbreaker had a beer in the movie. It was so weird.
Yeah, so they just did some weird stuff with them, right? So they played this aspect of like, oh, like, you're cheating on me, like thinking about Mjolnir and talking to Mjolnir, like, I'm your only weapon that you need, Stormbreaker. And it's like they give these like... It's just the situations that they put you in. You see the scene in the trailer where he's like calling for Mjolnir, and then Stormbreaker comes around the corner, awkwardly just like looking at him. He's like, "Oh, I called you," and grabs him.
Yeah,
and it's supposed to be this like awkward, like, "Ha ha ha, that's funny." But for me, like, I don't really go for these crappy, like, kind of really like lowbrow jokes. You know, I'm a classy guy.
Yeah.
Well, you're used to being around us that has high levels.
Yeah, exactly. But I always listen to the crowd to see if they're laughing. Man, dude, they were pretty quiet, man.
Yeah.
It was pretty quiet in that theater. I only heard a couple. Well, I heard some laughing, but man.
There's a guy in the back row that thought everything was hilarious.
Yeah, there's like one dude.
There's always one.
I hate those guys.
But they had a lot of scenes where that was prevalent, and they were just kept playing off of that, which I think that I'm sure that some people really enjoyed that. And based on like some reviews, like just general audience reviews, like obviously people enjoy stupid stuff like that. So for us, obviously we were like, ugh, roll our eyes at it. But
I think for me, those jokes didn't bother me too much. I was fine with them. It was kind of like, oh, okay, like that's amusing, whatever. Oh, they're jealous. Oh, okay.
Marvel.
But for me, it was the other. It seemed like all the dialogue was just like supposed to be just awkward conversations between people, and there was a lot of stuttering and being like, oh, okay, like, oh, and they
use awkward
literally
silences.
just awkward silence. The dialogue was awful to me.
I wouldn't be surprised if we hear later that a lot of it was like just made up on the spot.
Yeah. Because it just seemed like, what are we doing? Like scene to scene, it was like you have conversations with people and it was just kind of like nothing. Like not even an exposition. I would have rather had them just like talk about Gore the God Butcher or talk about other stuff, but it was literally just like, oh, we're kind of having these conversations. Oh, we used to date? How long ago was that? Oh, they kept bringing back a joke about, he kept calling Jane Foster Jane Fonda or Jane something else. Like it was just like a callback. Like Core kept doing that, and it was like
there was a lot of that.
This is a dumb joke. Like, why are we doing this?
Callback.
So I think that was the biggest thing that I was like, that's what I was having the hardest time with. The movie starts out with your introduction to Gore the God Butcher, and it's awesome. I thought it was really good. The god is a little cheesy.
Everything
super
until
cheesy.
that god was good.
Yeah, I agree. Because they still played it off as like cheesy. But then you get like the background of how, what he's going through, like why he makes a decision. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then it's like 180, like super cheesy. All the stuff with New Asgard was like, it's like an amusement park basically.
Which is okay. It's just
Matt Damon makes a return as an actor Loki from Thor Ragnarok. And I think it's the third the third Hemsworth.
Yeah.
And who's what's that actress's name?
Sam Neill?
No, who was
I don't know if she's a comedian, but she's a funny.
Oh,
you would know her.
I can't remember her name. Anyway,
what is she in?
She's in Gilmore Girls. She's the chef, but she's like
it's something that starts with an M,
McCarthy.
right?
Yeah.
McCarthy, yeah.
Something McCarthy.
Jenna
No.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Something McCarthy.
It doesn't matter. Anyway,
we have technology.
Anyway, they're still doing the acting show.
Melissa
they're
McCarthy.
doing all that stuff.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Nailed it.
Technology.
But yeah, anyway, I really liked the stuff with Gore the God Butcher. Like I said, I thought the stuff with Natalie Portman's character was good. Like she has cancer, she's going through it. She's worthy of holding Mjolnir as how basically she becomes the mighty Thor.
They put in this aspect of where when they did these kind of flashbacks, but they made new scenes of when they were in a relationship. Thor and Natalie Portman. And so they had a moment where like he was like he's talking to Mjolnir and was like, no matter what happens, I want you to always take care of her. And then like it glowed, like he casted a spell on it.
Imprinted a
basically
message
what Odin did. That's what Odin did.
Yeah.
For whoever
Thor.
is worthy can wield this.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't know if it's the sentient aspect of it or if it's just a spell that's just like helping her. But like, I don't know. It's just kind of confusing, I guess, how they did that.
Yeah, they made it seem like it was the hammer that was
had
the agency in that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But I did like what they did with Jane Foster.
I would have been much happier if she was like the main character. Like if we took a break from Chris Hemsworth Thor and it was just her movie. Because she had the much more interesting story, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there's a version of this movie that I'm like, oh, this is awesome. We're dealing with loss. We're dealing with Gore the God Butcher, which I thought was a really good Marvel villain.
I heard he didn't butcher any gods though.
He butchered one, and then off screen a bunch of other ones.
Off screen a bunch.
Yeah. Which was unfortunate.
Agreed. Agreed.
Put it on screen. You're gonna call him the God Butcher.
And you like cut off her that one chick's arm.
Yeah.
Thor's
Lady
buddy.
Sif.
Yeah.
How lame was Russell Crowe as Zeus?
Pretty terrible.
Pretty lame.
It was unfortunate because, like, dude, where all
He's
this
just a big joke.
Where'd all this money go? Like,
Yeah.
dude, his costume was trash.
Yeah,
like I don't know,
It didn't
man.
look very cool.
It looked like a Halloween costume. Like
Yeah.
you could, I don't know, dude.
It looked plastic.
Obviously, the dude's not ripped. He's older and he's a little chubbier. But dude, like, you can like
Gladiator, man.
you can do
Make
other
him look
things to
sick.
make him look all right.
I mean, they made Liam Neeson look sick as Zeus.
So, yeah, it's it was such a lame way of portraying Zeus. I think.
Yeah, it was the same thing. It's a joke. He's like, he has like he's doing like a Greek accent, basically.
That whole sequence is a joke.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah,
sequence is a
and it's
pretty
very
bad joke.
pointless.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because that sequence and that existence of that like that central city of gods or whatever is so like intrinsic to like the MCU. And it was a joke. Like that's what worries me because like when you handle these like god level, you know, these high gods, like high tier gods in this way that it's just a joke, it's like it just makes everything just feel
So-
really like
and the
clowny.
reason, and the reason they go there is they go there to ask for help because they want to take out Gore and mainly to use Zeus's lightning bolt. And Thor ends up killing Zeus by throwing the lightning bolt at him.
Yeah.
And like nobody cares. Like nobody does it. Like it just
Yeah,
feels
then they
so,
just like peace out. They're like,
feels
oh,
so
see you
weird.
later.
Like, oh, I guess Zeus is dead now.
Also, he kills Zeus because he thinks Korg dies. And then
Right.
it turns out that Korg doesn't die. His head is just
And
there.
guess what?
His face.
Zeus doesn't die either.
Yeah. End
No
credit
one
scene.
dies.
Oh,
Bro.
the thunderbolt goes through his
Through his
chest.
chest.
He falls.
Well, he is
he
the
is a
god
god.
of lightning, so
He's immune to thunderbolt, piercing damage. And so after they basically ask Zeus for help, and then they just like break out, grab the lightning bolt. Then, I mean, we've kind of skipped a big bunch of this movie, but that's kind of the idea here is nothing really
Nothing
mattered that
happens.
much, and nothing
Yeah.
really happened. It's just a lot of jokes, a lot of lip service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get to the actual cool part, I would say. I think it was also cool when Gore initially basically attacked Asgard, New
New
Asgard.
Asgard,
That was
yeah.
cool because they introduced these shadow monsters that he can summon and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That was cool.
All that was really
They
cool.
introduced the Mighty Thor also, and seeing her fight
Yeah,
was cool.
that was
The
cool.
visuals with her fighting was cool. She would make Mjolnir basically explode into a bunch of pieces.
It's already been shattered.
and then come back, which is pretty cool.
sick.
Yeah. And so then we get to the really cool part at the end of like basically the end of the movie where they go to his planet. I don't know what you want to call it. What was
Yeah.
it called?
It's the Shadow Realm, right?
Yeah.
Shadow,
Shadow
Realm.
Yu-Gi-Oh
Or basically.
is?
Yeah. Banished in the Shadow Realm. And they fight there. That's really cool. I think that was a cool part because everything was black and white. But when you have like Mjolnir and some of the like the weapons were glowing, and they
Right.
actually brought light like onto this like just slight color onto the actual actors and actresses, and so that was cool.
Yeah.
And a lot of the visuals were really dope.
Yeah. I mean, it's a visually good-looking movie for the most part,
Kind of.
and there's cool
Kind of.
moments, but like
Yeah.
overall,
There's also a lot that just looked bad.
Yes.
Like the framing,
Dude,
the costumes, it just looked
Yeah.
goofy.
the worst thing about this though is the fact that
Yeah. Talk to us, dude.
I've already said that I
Dr.
don't like
Magoo's.
Taika and his stuff. I think he's
his movies. His movies.
Um,
his
Yeah.
movies.
yeah. His
sure he's
movies.
a
I don't like him
he's a
either.
good person.
I don't care for him.
Very loving.
But the fact that he's like the next Star Wars movie, everyone's like, oh, he's got full control of it. I'm like, no thanks. Like, especially
bring back
hearing
Ryan
about
Johnson.
this and watching reviews about this, I'm like, I hope they don't, because everyone loved Ragnarok, or people liked Ragnarok. So then they're like, yeah, do whatever you want. And then this is kind of the result of him doing whatever he wants. I just hope they don't do that with Star Wars. Anyways, little side diatribe. Go back.
Thank you, John.
Just a little mini hate on Taika.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. Little interjection.
So yeah, Gore then wants to go and meet Eternity, which is like the human embodiment of eternity. It's a cool character in the comics, but in this he just sits
Eternity is just a genie in the bottle.
Giant
Yeah.
water.
You make one wish,
place
and you can
make a
have
wish.
anything you want. I think.
I think.
I think
You have
that's
to
how it
collect
works.
the Dragon Balls before.
Because I don't think you
No,
can wish
you
for
just-
more
it's just-
wishes.
yeah, it's the first person to get there gets the wish. Is how it works.
First one to.
So does that mean no one
one
has
way.
ever gotten there before?
Right, I think
I
so.
don't know.
Because
Or
that's
is
the way
like
they made it
in their
sound.
one trip, like whoever in this group?
No, I think it's like no one knows where it's at. So like it was the first
So they
person to find
wasted
it.
the one wish.
Basically, actually, well, so we'll get to it. So
Yeah, we'll get
basically,
to
he
it.
was gonna wish basically for all gods to die.
Yeah.
But Jane sacrifices herself because she has cancer and she doesn't have the strength. If she keeps picking up the hammer, basically, she doesn't have the strength to fight it off.
It's siphoning
Because it's
life
also
force
killing
from
her,
her.
right?
Yeah.
It's also
And so Thor's like, "Stay here. I'm gonna handle this." And so he's getting his butt kicked, and she ends up showing up to save him. So she sacrifices herself essentially. So then they're there, and he's like, "Don't do this. You can choose love." Basically, that's what Thor tells Gore. And what he does is he wishes for his daughter to come back, which is what has started him on the whole mission of like basically being the God Butcher.
yeah.
I thought that looked cool. Like seeing like the visual was cool of the
Oh
place.
yeah.
And then when the daughter came back, like her reflection was like almost like galaxy, like it looked cool. But and then that's kind of where the basically main plot of the movie ends. And Thor ends up. Gore tells Thor to raise his daughter, basically. So now Thor's a dad,
And that's where the title comes from. She is love,
and he's thunder.
and he's thunder.
Apparently, it was kind of cheesy, dude.
So he's in the title twice. What the heck?
It's his movie.
Thor, Love and Thunder.
You know what? The main Thor is Natalie Portman.
Yeah,
It's
That's
Thor, Love and Thunder Down Under is what
exactly.
they should have been.
Yeah,
That sounds.
yeah. I think that's a parody we don't want to talk about.
I heard this movie was like a parody.
Yeah.
It felt like
yeah.
So that's what someone said. Yeah, that's what a couple of different people have said. I don't know if it was a parody. I just think it was a poorly executed, not funny MCU movie.
Yeah,
So maybe that is what a parody is. But it didn't feel like it was. It felt like it was trying to be itself. Like it was trying to have a unique footprint, but it just kept falling flat for me. And I just think that there were a lot of scenes that really just took you out of it. Like there was a couple scenes where I went back and kind of saw some stuff. It's funny because someone did an interview and Taika and Valkyrie, whoever the actress is, they were
Useless
going
character.
over some scenes and kind of looking at CGI and stuff like that.
Oh, I saw that.
Bro. And like they're just pointing out, and it's funny because like Taika's like getting all nervous and like pissed, but like they're like pointing out stuff that's actively bad. And they had this one scene where it's Korg, Jane, Valkyrie, and then Thor, and like you could tell that they're all separately like recorded at different
Yeah.
times, and Korg looked way different and way weird. And then they also didn't edit Valkyrie right. They basically had her just randomly like in a scene go blink her eyes like she was waking up.
She goes like this. Because she's
And then
like,
they
yeah.
kept it in the movie, and they're like, "That was not supposed to be in there. This was supposed to be for this scene."
he's like, "I'm
And they
gonna
kept it there.
fire Jared."
dude. Taika,
Like,
No, but it was him. So she's there
quality.
and she's saying like, she's like, "Do you want me to show you something funny? That's kind of funny." He's like, "Sure." And she's like, look at my reaction." And she like goes like this, and she's like, "That reaction was because the character wakes up
Yeah.
and scares me." And she's like, "And you kept it in there, so I randomly just go like this."
but they're just
and
walking
he-
away.
And Taika Waititi's like, "Oh, that's because I never look at you when I'm watching the scene." He's like, it's just I never pay attention
and
to
then
what
she's
you're
like,
doing.
she's like, "Haha," and she's like, "Oh, it's funnier that way anyway."
Yeah.
Like trying to make it work.
Yeah.
So it's like there
That's
was a lot
weird.
of that where it's just like, it just felt like people didn't fit in the
Man,
scenes
Marvel's
right.
garbage.
This Star Wars movie is going to be so good. Dude. I can't wait.
But the reason why like I like started off on the wrong foot was that Gore scene at the very beginning, his whole journey on how he lost his daughter, and then he finally walked into that jungle and found the god that he was worshiping, and that god was just laughing in his face, and it was like totally different worlds.
Yeah,
And that was
two
the
different,
point, I
two
think.
different actors. Yeah,
But it just felt like it was so far like removed from each other that it wasn't believable at all. And it didn't feel like they should have been the same movie.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because you have Christian Bale, who I think gives his all in every performance that he
yeah.
does.
He was yelling at people off camera. too.
yeah, move the light. And then you have this other guy who's just a total goofball, and it didn't fit well. It was bad.
Yeah, and the guy was directed to be a goofball.
Right.
Yeah,
You know?
I think
yeah,
it's
and,
like,
and it was on
We
purpose.
know who to blame. It's not. I don't even know if it's Taika, but like
It wasn't an accidental
just
goofball.
Disney on this movie. I was just like, man, I don't know, man. It just felt. And this movie was delayed. Like how long? Like wasn't it like delayed, pushed back a little bit too?
I think just a couple months. I
don't think it was a huge
a long
amount, but
time.
I thought it was longer, but I'm just like, I don't know what the excuse is. I don't think there is an excuse. So it's just kind of a disappointment for me. But
yeah.
Just in hearing what you guys are saying and kind of other reviews I saw.
You're upset that you didn't watch it with us.
No,
Missed out.
because I could have celebrated a little bit.
celebrate.
No, but
Well, you
I
give
think
him
I think I
$13 if you
mentioned
win.
I think I mentioned this when we talked about the when we saw the trailer, and I talked about how I like seeing Zeus, and my concern was like how goofy are they going to be? I feel like they kind of shoot themselves in the foot when they make gods who are basically, that's kind of what the next phase of Marvel's doing. They're dealing with like the Eternals, gods, like all that kind of stuff, the mythological aspect of it, but they're making them goofy. I just feel like then when you say another movie comes along and a director wants to do something more serious, how do you bridge that stuff?
that was
You
gonna
know,
be my
like that's
thing.
going to be hard to do when it's like so goofy that this realm of the gods is like the main god Zeus is like so goofy. It makes it a little hard for me even with Moon Knight. You have the Egyptian gods and all this kind of stuff and how like kind of more grounded and real
Yeah.
and serious they were compared to now these ones. It just kind of it makes it hard when everything's connected. I know I'm beating a dead horse to connect those things and be like, how does this make sense? Anyways. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I
about
mean,
that.
the thing is that it's not gonna be like, oh yeah, wow, unlucky for that director. Like, the directors don't have as much say on that kind of stuff as you guys think. Like, it's all part of that Disney machine. Like, they're churning out stuff. They have their own plan on the timeline and how people are going to be treated, like the different gods and who's going to be depicted in certain ways. And so it's like, I don't know. It just feels like that's just the standard from now on. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's just how they're doing things. So, and it also seems like they're kind of making these gods seem more like people.
More fake, right?
Well, fake?
In terms of like fake gods. And
Well, yeah, they're not as
in
like...
terms of I'm just gonna keep saying that.
We're telling
Hear
them
me
not
out.
real.
Keep going, please.
Like movie gods. Like they're in a movie.
Yeah.
But it's like gods aren't really gods. Like the word gods in the MCU is now just like superhero in my book. And then you got celestials above that, and then you got whatever after that. Like, I don't know. It's just interesting because the scales kind of changed with them.
Like they leveled the playing field with Thor and then the gods, so that all the superheroes are kind of like on the same playing field.
It's
So
weird.
they can keep going with their old characters.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I think it's maybe just a bummer because of our expectations of what a god is and kind of what a superhero is, because they've kind of changed it in a way that I'm not really a huge fan of, because they make everything such a joke all the time. And I appreciate seriousness and honor and self-sacrifice.
That's why DC's better.
There's an element of like epicness. I feel that you want a story to be epic and characters to be that way, and when there's constant jokes, it kind of lowers it. I don't know. That's for me how it's always felt with Marvel, is that these superheroes, you like as a little kid, it was like, oh my gosh, Superman, Batman, Thor, all this kind of stuff. And you want to see them doing epic things, incredible things. And then when it becomes like so goofy, it takes away for me. And I know, I'm a 34-year-old dude watching these movies.
Yeah.
And these, yes, they're
I want to feel something.
they're more geared towards kids, but I feel like, again, there's a way to do it that you can appease both sides, like older fans and younger fans, and still create something that's kind of heartfelt and genuine and epic. And I feel like the humor undercuts a lot of that stuff, and goofiness does a lot.
Yeah.
And this movie took it to a whole different level.
The problem is, and we already, I'm just beating the dead horse, but basically, it
Dead
would have
goat.
been more okay. I wish it was a dead goat. They never died, bro. I was hoping they would when they landed on that crazy
Planet.
darkness planet. Yeah, but no, it's like I would have been more okay with it if the jokes were funny. Like I was even open-minded, you know, and I was rooting for him. I'm like, all right, I'm just no expectations. Like I know there's gonna be a lot of jokes, so I'm here. But it's like everything fell flat. I think I laughed. No, I don't laugh. I giggled maybe at like one joke the whole movie. I did a little tee-hee, you know? That's it.
I heard you laugh. I can't
At
remember what it
one
was.
joke.
You said, haha, you laughed and you said, that's so stupid.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened. Because it was dumb and like
They got you though. And then you were like, you were like mad at
that was
yourself.
dumb. Yeah, that was stupid. But yeah.
Does this movie lower your view of Thor? Because before, in my
absolutely.
mind, like Thor would just wreck dudes, and it was awesome.
I mean,
honestly, ever since Infinity War Thor, that was like peak Thor for me. That's when he was at his coolest, his most like emotional, and just the best Thor that we got. After that, I mean, in my opinion, they completely ruined him. And what was the next one?
Ragnarok.
No.
Endgame?
Endgame. Oh, like he was crap in that movie.
so I think that just to kind of bring a little bit into it, at the very end, at the last battle with Gore, he did some really cool stuff where he basically imbued the children who were captives there with some of his power. And that was an interesting aspect of that. And then the end where he's fighting with his daughter. It's like, you can tell that he's like, I mean, he lost his love and he's now living with purpose. So I think that there might be, if it's not Taika directing his next movie, which is unlikely,
Hope not.
it might actually be okay.
Yeah.
Because 90% through this movie, I'm like, this is brutal, and Thor is done. But at the very end, I'm like, he has something to live for and fight for now. He was apparently directionless before, and
Apparently,
so now
yeah.
you know what I mean. Like they just made him, you know. But now he has purpose, and so maybe, just maybe, he might be a decent representation.
Did they give him new powers that came out of nowhere, like him imbuing turning everybody into little Thors? Why didn't he do that against Thanos in Wakanda?
I don't
Just
say
give
it
all
was
the
too
Wakanda
fat.
people like,
People
hey,
say it was
now
from
there's 1,000 Thors.
It came from the
Zeus's
lightning bolt.
Yeah, Zeus's lightning bolt.
Because the way they were golden and not blue
not blue.
lightning. They were
How do you
golden
know he
lightning.
could do that though? Did they explain it, or did you just say he can't?
It just happened.
I think what
And then they made a joke
The ghost
about
man.
it.
And he was like,
He's like, I can do
I
that?
know what you're talking about.
yeah. But yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about? Any other questions or?
Should you see this movie in theaters?
No.
No,
No,
I don't.
you're
I
not
don't-
missing out.
I mean, if it's not over a 5, it's not a recommendation.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if you like, this
movie.
might be your cup of tea. This might be your cup of tea.
3.8.
If you like bad humor,
It's surprising because the Rotten Tomatoes like audience is like 82%. So
Yeah,
I don't
people
know.
like dumb stuff.
I don't know.
Is the critics like 60 something?
Yeah, 65 or something like
Interesting.
that. So I
it
don't know.
made 140 million.
It
It
might
is the highest Thor opening weekend.
Crazy.
because they probably expected something different.
Well, that I think a lot of people are saying that, like,
So
It'll be really curious
you
to
like-
see second week.
Yeah, what's its drop
what
off?
the drop will be.
if you like awkward
75%.
silences, you like awkward jokes, if you like weird CGI and Guns N' Roses,
Guns N' Roses.
see the movie. Other than
man,
that,
it ticks off all my boxes.
Do you want to go tonight, man?
Let's go right
you gotta
now.
see it. You gotta see it. But yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
There's our ringing endorsement for the.
Endorsement, boys.
Thor Love and Thunder.
Yep.
It's a big deal.
So yeah, that's our spoiler review. Let us know what you thought down in the comments below. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you on the next one.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.